To all the people who tell me that I overreact or overthink things, we now have Twilight, so shut up. Weird thing about this is that this isn't a two-parter. This is a single episode to start off the season, and it's definitely a good one. It's definitely a good episode to start off the season. So pretty much the episode begins with us going through a ceremony for Starlight Glimmer, Trixie, Discord, and Thorax for saving Equestria after the events of To Where and Back Again, if I'm saying the episode name correctly. And pretty much this is when Twilight comes to the idea that maybe it's time for her to, like, have a bigger plan for Starlight, or at least that Discord comes up with, and decides to push Twilight in such a direction that it actually pushes her to her limit. So Twilight goes to the only other pony that she knows that knows anything about this, and that's Celestia. And even asks her, like, what does she think is a good idea that she should try with Starlight Glimmer. And she comes to the conclusion maybe it's time Starlight heads off on her own and does her own thing, and we actually get some actual character development for Celestia in this episode, which I'm very glad to see. For the longest time, we've known Celestia to be a very good mentor character, and people have always theorized that Celestia has always had a bigger plan in mind for Twilight and otherwise. So to actually see Celestia, like, talk about how she had this big plan for Twilight and how she needs to think about some of this stuff, and hell, even laughing at the sheer enormity of, if I'm using the right word, about how Twilight's, like, you know, like, thoughts can go like, this is a great idea, but it could go so horribly bad, and then relating that to when she was doing the same thing with Twilight herself. It's amazing. I loved it. I love seeing this side of Celestia and seeing this character from her, as well as seeing Twilight having to make, like, a hard decision. In all honesty, this episode doesn't really have a lot going for it. It really doesn't. It's just a Twilight kind of realizing that Starlight has grown up, or is growing up, and it's time for her to let her, like, you know, find her own path, or figure out a bigger path for her, or something along those lines, like Celestia did with Twilight. And it's cool, the fact that, you know, Twilight finally hits the point where she feels like, you know what, Starlight, it's time for you to figure out your own path. But Starlight says she's not fully there yet, but you get kind of like the whole point. I don't know, a lot of people try to say this is like a parenthood kind of message, and can't really say much on that one. So, all in all, what do I think about this episode? I like it. It's a pretty good episode. I had a lot of fun watching it. It was a cool message. I love the fact that we got more development for Celestia, especially the fact that she only now found out that people say for Celestia's sake or otherwise. It was amazing to see that. And it was a good message overall. Like I said, it was a really good episode, this one. And that's my speed impressions on Celestial Advice.